Hey guys, Adam Mr. F here. Just a quick hello. Just saying that this video that you're about to see is from someone I'm collaborating with. His name is Aiden Wolf. Please subscribe to his channel. If you're here and you don't know who I am, go ahead and take a look at my channel. Subscribe if you'd like. But again, the links for his channel will be in the comments below, as well as I'll put an annotation somewhere at some point in the video. Hopefully at the beginning and the end. This is his. I just helped out with the intro and editing a bit and doing a favor. Just trying to get a bit of help and let people know who he is and where to find him and what kind of content you might expect to see from him in the near future. So again, enjoy this video by Aiden Wolf, and please subscribe to his channel and feel free to subscribe to mine as well if you so choose. Thanks again.
This is Aiden Wolf. Hi, welcome to, I guess, my basement. This is where I do all my production. This is where I do all my video editing, and just pretty much my man cave away. Now, I'm going to show you around in a little bit, and the reason why I'm stuck in my basement when I do a lot of my voiceover work. My name's Aiden Wolf. This is Aiden Wolf Production Studios, I guess you can call it. I do a lot of voiceover down here. Of course, I do my podcast. I even do some radio voicing for commercials and stuff, just because of the acoustics of this place are great, especially when I set it up. Now, just kind of wanted to do up a video to talk about. Been a lot of newcomers into the podcast world that have been searching groups on Facebook to find out some best practices for startup. Because one of the things that really terrifies a lot of new podcasters happens to be the equipment that you need. There's been a lot of misinformation about exactly what you need and the price you should be spending. I heard one person actually say you need minimum $3,000 per line per microphone to make this sound good and professional, which is absolute hog shit. That's garbage. You don't need to spend $3,000 per microphone. In fact, all this is just about setting up your podcast for the least amount of money, but being able to keep the sound still professional, or at least close to, because you know what? You listen to a lot of podcasts out there. They sound like shit. Let's be perfectly honest. Some of the best podcasts too. My Favorite Murder. If you haven't heard that one, go online and check that out. Absolute shit sound. I'm sorry, girls. I love listening to you, but your audio is crap. But they still have one of the best podcasts out there. So if you can aim just a little bit higher than those shitty sounding podcasts, you're going to be doing well, okay? So you ready to get started? Let's do this. Now, one of the big arguments among people in podcasting is the microphone. Oh, it's the best. You need to get the best microphone on the market. Otherwise, you're going to sound like shit. Don't listen to them. There are a lot of decent entry-level mics that are going to give you great crystal sound. It's going to just sound beautiful. You don't actually have to spend a lot of money to get a great performing microphone. It depends on what you're setting up with, but the biggest issue with microphones is the treated room they're in. If you are in a bad room that sounds really hollow and it sounds like you're recording from a tin can, that's not the microphone. That's the room you're in. It's poorly treated. We'll get into a lot of that and more. Basically, treatment ideas are going to be tripping you up more than anything. Once again, going back to My Favorite Murder, they sound like they're in a tin can because they're in a big hollow room and you're getting a lot of reverberation, which can be easily fixed, and it's not as expensive as you might think. I'm looking to get you set up between $60 and $200 for your podcast. Simple as that. Now, if you want to go back to all those guys online that are telling you you need to spend at least $500 on a microphone, all this is being recorded on this. This is a Shure SM58. You can get these things under $100, and they're the workhorse of the music industry. These things, if you ever go see a live band, these are what those live bands are actually recording on. And yeah, that's exactly what I'm using right now, and you get some great quality sound out of it. I believe the setup on this would be probably about $60 for the mic. You can probably get them cheaper online, but you know what? We'll get into that in a few seconds. First thing we're going to focus on right now, though, are what kind of podcast are you running? So there's two kinds of podcasts, really. One is going to be just a single person sitting at a microphone doing a rant. Maybe you've got something to say. Maybe you're telling stories. Whatever the case is, it's a single microphone going into a computer. It's recording. You're going to do a little bit of work to it, and you're going to ship it off. There's your podcast. In fact, that's what mine is. It's a very simple setup. I do it no problem, and it sounds good. I don't know how I am as a storyteller. Feel free to listen to it and let me know what you think. But the second type is a multi or an interview style. That's when you have at least two people, both being recorded on separate mics, going into a computer. Okay. Some of these guys, upwards of 4 people some guys have like 6-person podcasts. That's a little extreme. You probably shouldn't start with a 6-person podcast. The setup on that will get a little pricey. But if you're doing a solo podcast, let's go back to that, and you're just a single person going into a computer, your best bet is to buy a USB microphone. Okay, you can buy a really nice one, the Snowball by Blue Microphones. It costs about $60. You can get them cheap online, and guaranteed you will have a great setup and a great sounding mic to do your podcast with, and you need nothing else. You can get a digital audio workstation or a DAW online for free. I use Audition. What the hell's the name of the... Am I going to have to look online? Okay, that's going to bug me. 2 seconds. Audacity. Son of a bitch. I should have known that. Okay, so all you have to do is download a great free digital audio workstation or DAW. Audacity, it comes to mind. And it's really easy to use. There's a lot of YouTube videos on how to use Audacity on YouTube. So all you got to do is go on there, figure out how to use it, and away you go. You're done your podcast. That's a $60 startup. Okay, a little bit of time, a little bit of elbow grease, and you can have a working podcast for $60. But what about when you get into 2 mics? That can be a little trickier. And there's a lot of people that want you to go in, they want you to start using your cell phone to record separately and then combine it together later. That's a lot of work. Now, one of the things that I like to do is I use Zoom, okay? The Zoom H series of microphones and recorders work great for this kind of setup. For example, the H4N, which I just had up until about a week ago, okay, could record up to 3 different microphones all at the same time. And so you would have 3 microphones going into this little Zoom, and it sounds great, trust me. The H5, which I just upgraded to, is this little bad boy right here. Now, of course, you have the XY mic sitting on top, and you also have the XLR connectors in the bottom. Sorry, I'm bumping my mics there. Can you see that? Yeah. Those are the XLR connections, so you can put in microphones like this or any other kind of microphone. These things do run a little costly depending on what you're looking at. I bought this for 250 Canadian dollars, so probably about 200 American, okay? That was off of a Craigslist style ad. You can get them for even cheaper if you look around. But on eBay, you're looking at about, I would say $200 American for one of these things. On average, you can pick it up and you can plug and go. The great thing about H5, you don't get it with the H4N, but you get it with the H5, is you can actually record multi-track, meaning each microphone would be on its separate track. That means if you and your buddies are great at talking over each other but not talking at the same time, you know what I mean. If you're great at all talking at the same time but you don't know how to shut up, that way you can actually mute other people in the post-processing, so you'd be able to make sure that you're not talking over your guest, or you don't have a great point that's being lost under the murmur of a fighting crowd, because that does happen in podcasts when there's multiple people. Also, interview skills are not easy, okay? Learning how to interview people takes time. Learning how to give breaths for an interview, how to give space for people to talk, that can take some time, and the H5 is the great kind of the great equalizer when it comes to doing full groups. You can do up to 4 people with this, 4 separate microphones. It also works as, this is great, these are little Y microphones. There you go. So they're Y stereo mics, sound awesome. If you play guitar and you ever want to record yourself playing guitar, pick one of these things up. For $200 plus the cost of your microphones, which I would suggest the Shure SM58. Under $100, you can get them very, very cheap. With the XLR cables and 4 microphones, you're still looking at about $250. That's about a $500 startup for a 4-person podcast. So if each person puts in about $100, $125 actually, you've got a great podcast start, and you're getting professional quality audio. I cannot stress that enough. That's all it takes for professional quality audio. Now, you have a lot of guys online. This is my personal mic for doing some voiceover. This is the RE320. Okay, it's a great little mic. It's a broadcast quality microphone, meaning I can go to radio with this. I can do voiceover. I can do pretty much all I want. It's a $400 mic. The imaging microphone I use is about $1,000. However, when you're doing a podcast, this is all you need, and this is why. When you go to mix down your podcast to put it online, you want the smallest file possible. Now, when you make a file small, you're doing something called compression. Now, if you take the audio out of a microphone like this and you squash it down with compression, it's going to sound just as bad as it's going to sound with this. Plain and simple. Compression sucks on audio, but because you have to pay for the audio going online, under most circumstances, I go through Blueberry myself. I pay $20 a month, and I only get 250 megabytes per month. So in order for me to get all the audio I want online, I've got to squish it down to 96 kilobytes per second, which is horrendous for an MP3. Most people 320. So if you're going to be compressing all your audio, why in the fuck would you buy $1,000 mic to do it with? That's stupid. This, I think it's like $60 American. Go out and get yourself one of these, and you're going to get great quality audio that's not going to sound like shit. Done. Okay, so now you've got the microphone, you've got the recorder. The nice thing about this thing, not only does it record, but it also works as an interface, meaning you can plug this into your computer and record directly onto your computer if you want. That is priceless. Okay, so when you're going to go set up your podcast, I'm going to put in the links in the description. I'll put the links in the description. God damn it, what's wrong with me? And from there, you can build your perfect podcast setup. Don't listen to the people on Facebook. Just go to these links. You're not going to find any better professional sounding equipment. I almost forgot. Sorry. Before I let you go, this is the area that I actually record in. And I'm talking about treatment of rooms. The treatment in this basement is very, very simple. I do have some panels that I use. They're over in the corner there. You can just see the edge of it right there. I'm pointing at it. But the rest of the room looks like this. It's basically clutter. That's what I use to stop the reverberations in my studio. It's not perfect, but you know what? It works great, especially for doing actual voiceover work for the radio, which is kind of the test bench for doing voiceover work. So find yourself a cluttered room, or even stick yourself into a closet. A lot of professionals do it, but you get great sound out of a product, actually almost professional recording booth quality. Thank you very much. My name's Aiden Wolf. If you want to check me out, Dark Corner of Radio. It's just a storytelling podcast of some of the history of music. But you can also find me on Facebook, Dark Corner of Radio, or on Twitter. It's at DCOR Podcast. Thanks. Have a good day. God damn it, what's wrong with me?